Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be following on with our little bit of a Blood Sun Lotus Field plan after we did it on the Zendikar Landfall event. I had so much fun with that little combo that I figured I would take it into the best of ones today to showcase a new deck. So we're going to be playing this unnamed deck that I honestly threw together quite quickly, and it's been a lot of fun. It's not particularly great, but when it does its thing, it is pretty interesting, and yeah, it's pretty good. Shuts down Scapeshift by default, which is also pretty sweet. So Blood Sun is the build around card here. 3 mana for a enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card, and all lands lose all abilities except for mana abilities. So as I mentioned, it does shut down Scapeshift, which basically becomes a colorless land. But we're also going to be using it in our deck as well, so that we can get Lotus Field into play untapped and without having to sacrifice lands, which is the downside of this card. And we can combine Lotus Field with Kiora as well. 3 mana, 7 loyalty Planeswalker. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card, which is effectively all of the creatures in our deck. And then you can also -1 to untap target permanent, which means Kiora is effectively free with a Lotus Field. She can pay 3 mana on the Lotus Field and then untap that 3 mana, so we can just reuse it all over again, which is pretty sweet. And how are we going to be winning the game, you might ask? Well, last time we used Hydras, and to a certain extent we're still doing that. We have 3 Hydroid Krasis, Simic X to make an XX, and you get half of that in life and card draw. I'm sure most of you are aware of what this one is. And then also the Voracious Hydra as a little bit of side removal. X and 2 green for a 0/1. You can either pay the X and then double the amount of counters, which is equal to X, or you can have it fight a creature you don't control. So extra little bit of removal. We got Lightning Strikes and Lava Coils for additional removal as well. We're also going to be winning with Multani, Yavimaya avatar, because it actually combines quite well with Blood Sun and Lotus Field mostly in the use of it, essentially. So Lotus Field sacrifices 2 lands, and Multani's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands in your graveyard and in play, so he really doesn't care that you've been sacrificing your lands on Lotus Field. And we have a Mending of Dominaria as well to pull all those lands out of the graveyard and put them onto the battlefield, which is pretty sweet. So we can get down a Multani with Reach and Trample, and you get to return 2 lands to your owner's hand as well. So we can tap our Lotus Fields for 3 mana, pay 2 to bounce the Lotus Field, and then replay the Lotus Field if he is in our graveyard, which is a nice little combination as well. But that is also not the way that we're going to be winning the game necessarily. We also have 4 copies of Haphazard Bombardment, because we can get this one down pretty quickly. 6 mana for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you put 4 non-enchantment permanents of your choice, and you stick an aim counter on them. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more permanents don't have a counter on them, you get to choose one and destroy it at random. So yeah, we basically blow up our opponent's lands. We're a pseudo land destruction deck. We're basically restricting our opponent's mana base so that we can get down our big threats and go unanswered. We also have Mass Manipulation, 4 blue, double X. This might actually want to be 2 copies of, and maybe just 1 Multani, or maybe down a Hydroid Krasis or Voracious Hydra, because this is pretty sweet, this one. Gain control of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. So this is our basic answer to any kind of non-creature based matchup, because the likelihood is that if they don't have creatures, then they have planeswalkers, and we can steal our opponent's super friends, which is pretty cool. I'd never mentioned, actually, we combo the Haphazard Bombardment with Release to the Wind, which means that we can exile a non-land permanent, and for as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may cast it without paying its mana cost. So we get to replay Haphazard Bombardment and reapply the counters, because when there's only 1 counter left on Bombardment, it will stop firing, essentially. So we want to be able to reset that and put 4 more counters on things, leaving this with 5 counters. So every turn we just get to keep reapplying it. And hopefully what we do is leave our opponent with 1 mana for the rest of the game with the Release to the Wind. We can also flicker Kiora, flicker Mending of Dominaria before it destroys itself, because the trigger goes on the stack before it sacrifices on Chapter 3. So if we want to replay it, then we can absolutely do that as well. We can save our Multani and reuse the Rejuvenators. The only thing that is a bit of a nombo with is our X creatures here. So Voracious Hydra and Hydroid Krasis don't really combo too well with it, but likelihood is that we're not going to be wanting to flicker them anyway. You can also do Blood Sun as well for a redraw for whatever it's worth. But yeah, that's essentially the deck, guys. The mana base is pretty simple. 2 islands and 2 forests in case Assassin's Trophies for whatever reason. 4 Steam Vents, 4 Stomping Grounds, 4 Breeding Pools, and then filling up with checklands to top it all off. Without further ado, before we get into the game, if you do enjoy this kind of gameplay, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for some more stuff like this in the future. I'm going to be going on a new system actually on the channel, so the most viewed, highest liked video actually will get a chance of being a video at the end of the week. So if you really do enjoy this one, it helps out a great deal if you do hit that like button, subscribe, share it all around, anything to pump up your favorite deck, because I will be coming back at the end of the week to play the most popular one. So without further ado though, let's get into the gameplay and showcase the list. Okay, we're in, and we got the Blood Sun, the Kiora, and the Haphazard Bombardment with just a Lotus Field away from greatness. Even got some Lava Coil action in there, so yeah, let's take this bad boy and see what we can do with it. Murder Pirate 7. What a lovely name. Let's see if they're playing Murder Pirates. Island for our opponent. So far, so good. Them's the pirate colours. Alright, well, we don't need to actually hold open Lava Coil here, since it's sorcery speed. Our opponent's not likely to flash in anything except for on end step. Spectral Sailor probably being the key one there, or maybe an Opt. Yeah, Spectral Sailor it is. Alright. Okay, so next turn we can just do Hinterland Harbour, see what we want to do. Maybe Blood Sun, not sure. We'll see. Are we up against Blue Tempo, or are we actually up against Pirates? Or maybe Simic. Simic might also be a thing. Good old flashy shenanigans and all that. Well, we don't need to kill off the Spectral Sailor just yet with the Lava Coil, so that's definitely not going to be the plan here. I'm expecting, if it is the Simic deck, to have a Brineborn Cutthroat coming down. Honestly, Kiora's not doing too much, so let's just throw down a Blood Sun that my opponent probably doesn't actually care too much about, but maybe they want to counter anyway because it looks terribly suspicious. Another Blood Sun. That's not great, but it's a redraw, I suppose. Always happy for a redraw. Blue-black, so it is Pirates. Oh my goodness. Forerunner. Okay, so we probably want to be Lava Coiling the Forerunner, no doubt, since this actually has a drain effect for Pirates. So we could do... what can we do? We've got 2 mana left open after Kiora. So we could play down Kiora and Lava Coil the Forerunner. It's a possibility. I do kind of want to be ramping out into Haphazard Bombardment and start nicking my opponent's lands away. And they can't really kill Kiora here, so this seems fine. So yeah, let's just do Stomping Ground untapped, Breeding Pool untapped because we have a Blood Sun now, and Lava Coil the Forerunner. Okay, so the jig is up on our opponent's Cutthroat, but they can still play it at the last moment anyway, if they really want to. Hold up and like counter spells if they've got them. Okay, just a point for Kiora.
You're making me crabby.
And passes. Okay. Yeah, they just want to do a Cutthroat end step. What could they have for counter spells? There is a pirate one that says counter unless you pay 4. We could potentially just play around that with a Blood Sun. If we end up getting like our Lotus Field at any given time, then we have a metric ton of mana. I should have maybe played Blood Sun first for that reason. Okay. Let's see what we can get. A Rootbound Craig. Alright, well, pass the turn. We can do a Hydroid Krasis next turn, I think. So they've got 3 points, 4 maximum. If they flash in the Cutthroat and then have a 1 mana spell. I guess they could have another Spectral Sailor. That would have been enough to kill Kiora, but we have a spare, so we're not too bothered about that. Yeah, I don't think we're too pleased about seeing counterspell decks on our opponent's side. This is definitely going to be one of them. There's no way you tempo like this and don't have counter magic, especially with Cutthroat.
Hands off.
You want to be playing on my turn at every single possible opportunity, if you can. So we could actually do an X5 Hydroid Krasis, or we could haphazard Bombardment and start nicking our opponent's lands off. Almost feels like the Hydroid Krasis is going to die from removal spells. Haphazard is only going to get a counter unless you pay X kind of thing happen to it. There is no counter unless you pay 1 effect that my opponent would use here, so... yeah, let's go for it. I kind of want the Hydroid Krasis to actually resolve here, so... I think if it does and our opponent has no removal, then we've just roadblocked our opponent, drawing a card off the Kiora and off the Hydroid Krasis, which potentially we can get some more X's on there. Oh boy. Alright, well, we get to choose 4 non-enchantment permanents. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And see what we can do. We're going after the Cutthroat here instead of our opponent's lands because they can flash it and make it quite large. We don't really want that ideally, but we also want to hit our opponent's black sources at the same time. Siren's Ruse. Gonna reset that counter. Okay. Well, I was not expecting a Siren's Ruse of all things. So I guess it is what it is. Right, let's see if we can hit a black source. And no, can't. Alright, worst of the options there. No surprises there. It's me playing after all. Could really do with a Lotus Field though. So opponent didn't care to kill the haphazard Bombardment. Potentially the case that they are maybe a bit flooded and don't actually mind losing their lands. They certainly didn't have the counter spell.
Don't miss me too much.
Steam vents. Alright, well, let's do Kiora. And then we can do an X3 Krasis doesn't seem great. I think maybe we do actually just go for an X5 Hydroid Krasis on its own. Let's tap them out, draw some cards. It gives us some options. If we get like Lotus Field, then we can really ramp out. Kiora becomes free because we use the Lotus Field for the 3 mana. Voracious Hydra is pretty decent. It does kind of get stopped on the fight by a Siren's Ruse, but they got the Obnixilus's Cruelty for a -5/-5 effect. Alright, well, lose a land. It's only a good option for us this time around. And we keep our opponent pinched on mana. It would be really nice if we can get a Release to the Wind so we can flicker our Bombardment and then start hitting the creatures as well. Ooh, there's a Lotus Field. Alright, well, free Kiora, essentially. She's just going to untap the land that spawned her anyway.
But my friend's kind of a big deal.
Untap the Lotus Field. And where do we go from here? So we could fight with the Voracious Hydra, but if they have... How much can we do it for first? Let's do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 minus 5 is 3, so I could still kill a Cutthroat, but it would kill my Hydra? It would trade off, I think, at that stage. So I think I just want to go for a Hydroid Krasis instead. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's try it. It doesn't get Obnixilus's Crueltied. And if they have one, they've got to do it during like combat. Lightning Strike's pretty decent actually. Especially when they'll not be able to defend themselves. We draw a card. I'm hoping for a Release to the Wind. That's maybe the best draw we could have. Lotus Field, also acceptable. We can put down a pretty ridiculously sized Voracious Hydra that only really dies to a cast down. very strange that they're using Obnixilus's Cruelty. A tempo list like this probably wants to be as mana efficient as possible. I would have thought they'd use the cast down in that slot, honestly. Because you want to be able to, like, flash in, Cutthroat. Yeah, they've definitely got Obnixilus's Cruelty, so let's just not run into that kind of bait. Tyrant Scorn. Okay. That also gets all of our creatures as well, I suppose. But now they're tapped out. We have another haphazard Bombardment. May as well, right? Bombardment. Let's literally count everything on their board. And scoop in 3, 2, 1. Maybe a flash in of a Spectral Sailor, so I could just target that as well, maybe. I want to hit their lands and a Cutthroat. They want to dive down. Okay, well, it's dead. Got a card out of them. Gonna target all of their lands, and these kind of do stack in a roundabout fashion, and you'll see why in just a moment. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6. Good game. Yeah, so basically they only care if there's one counter on, but they'll both trigger at the same time. So we've got 4 counters here, and yeah, they'll basically fire off 2 at the same time until there's only 1 counter left on the board. And yeah, we got him. Alright, that was pretty sick actually. Quite textbook, if I do say so myself. Let's go for another one. Alright, we're in, and we got the Blood Sun and even our haphazard Bombardment Kiora. This is our combo right here. So I'm going to take this hand. We need a Lotus Field at some point, and we also need to live. Living is key, and it looks like our opponent's playing a deck that doesn't allow us to live. So we'll see. Mardu, maybe red-black, yep. Well, Priest doesn't really matter all too much. Multani is worst, the worst draw we could have possibly had. So that's great. Next turn we can shock ourselves to play Blood Sun, just so that we don't have to shock ourselves ever again, and also maybe get a redraw. Multani, again, I mentioned, is the worst draw of all time, so the deck was listening. I always enjoy it when the deck is listening, so Blood Sun, give me an answer. That is the second worst draw in our entire deck. This is going really well, guys. Absolutely fantastically, if I do say so myself. We can get down a Multani next turn if we draw a Lotus Field. But we draw the second worst card in our deck again. Weird how that works. Let's go with the Blood Sun again, shall we? And a Hydroid Krasis with no mana. Cool, cool. Alright, I think it's safe to say that this is about as much of a non-game as you can possibly have in this game. And we had such a good opening hand. How did it get so horrifically bad? I do not know. So we're going to 4 off of the Priest sacrifice here. We can't really even maintain a Multani with the Priest around, so we're going to need like Voracious Hydra to fight. And we draw a land. Okay. What is happening? This is... Oh my god, this is horrible. Yeah, we're just dead. Let's find out what we would have drawn. See if it's also equally terrible. Yep, another land, and yeah, that's... Yep, screw you, opponent. Screw you. Alright, let's have a look-see. We got Lava Coil into Kiora, hopefully into Blood Sun Lotus Field for Krasis, but we'll have to see. Gonna have to get some good top decks, which is to be expected when you're playing horrible decks like ours. Oh boy. What's our opponent playing, if at all? Alright, well, we get to play first, so stomping around tapped, say go. Good spell. Llanowar Elves. I will Lava Coil the Llanowar Elves in a heartbeat. We got Multani. Okay. That's our ramp spell, at least. Or our thing to ramp into. Opponent with something instant speed. They've got Veil of Summer, I think. Good to know. It's pretty much the only 1 mana instant spell that I can think of in green. So they really don't like getting Thought Erasured or anything like that, it seems. 2 mana. They have to have something here. Paradise Druid. Okay. Well, on that note, let's just get down Kiora. And pass the turn.
Just can't help myself.
Oh, Kiora, you're so good at jokes. So, if they want to threaten Kiora, they're going to have to actually tap down their Paradise Druid here. It looks like a Nissa deck of some sort. Because it's green. It's green, guys. Incubation Druid. Alright, well, that's getting lava coiled in a heartbeat. Short of us having something better to do, I suppose. But somehow, I'm doubtful that we will. Maybe they are playing a Leyline deck. That's 3 different kinds of mana dork that we're seeing.
Leave my squids alone.
Leave Brittany alone! Goodbye, Brittany. Get out of here. And tap land, say go. No untapping necessary, we can't really do anything with it. We can do an X3 Krasis, which is sad. Sad and depressing. This is where they Nissa and kill everything that I hold dear. Or not. We can play Multani next turn if we draw a land, because we can use Kiora to untap. And that'll make us a pretty decent blocker and attacker. He ain't too bad, this Multani. Excuse me, that would be a 4/4. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, draw a card. Alright, so I can do an X3 Hydroid Krasis. I really don't see the benefit in doing that, so I'm just going to pass. Probably Release to the Wind, something. Just protect ourselves. Might be a Kiora, so I don't have to recast one next turn. No doubt they'll put 2 points of that Paradise Druid straight into her face. And we don't have anything to flicker right now, so it just seems like maybe the best use of my mana here. And just we're taking 4 or 5? Doing the math. Well, they don't have Nissa. They would have played it pre-combat. So, oh, just taking 4. Well, I am going to flicker Kiora here. I know we have a spare, but I don't really want to spend the entire turn next turn actually casting it, because obviously that ain't going to do too much for us. It's just going to leave us in exactly the same bad position we're in right now. Veil of Summer. Sure, draw a card.
Always rise again.
That's all that card will ever do for them. So it only gives you hexproof from blue and black, and stops things from being countered. We don't counter. I guess Mass Manipulation and Release to the Wind on their targets is a potential thing that could happen. I just feel like we're going to die. We haven't really drawn anything good. Still land into Multani would be decent. It'd be a 5/5 to block the Gnarlback Rhino. If they swing into Multani, though, it seems like a pretty decent suggestion that they've got something to pump it with, so we'd be careful about that, especially since this benefits from being targeted. No doubt they've got some Titanic Growths or whatever. And we did draw the land. Okay, so shock ourselves. Float some mana. Unfloat the mana. Multani. That's a 5/5. We draw a card. We get a Breeding Pool. Okay. So next turn Multani will be a 6/6, so we'll see what we can do with that. Barkeyed Troll. Okay, so you can remove that counter to give it hexproof. It's a pretty decent card, actually. doesn't see too much play, because obviously the double green is a little bit expensive. You can't really play it outside of monocoloured decks unless you're just lightly splashing. I do run this in my Gruul Stompy list, so mostly because the red is only a splash. In the main deck, I only run Domri's Ambush. So we only have Stomping Grounds and Rootbound Craigs in the main. And they've kind of just told me that they don't have... We'll see. We'll see. Let's not get ahead of myself. As I said, if they swing in with that Rhino, they're telling me that they've got a pump spell. So that's something that we have to be aware of. I'd rather not have to recast Multani and just kill one of their mana dorks or something like that instead. Take the extra 4. And that's a dead giveaway. Thank you very much, opponent. They have no pump spells in hand. We can do an X5 Hydroid Crisis, so let's do that. Tap, untap.
I love to make a splash.
And X5, please. Drawing 2 cards, gaining 2 life, and drawing a card from Kiora. So 3 cards total. Another Multani. Haphazard Bombardment's very nice. So our opponent, while they're durdling, we can just start picking off their lands, and even a Blood Sun as well. If we ever draw our Lotus Veils, is going to be pretty good. Alright, we'll just pass. We're in no rush. We'll wait until they've got no lands left before we consider hitting them, I think. Because that'll really put the pressure on. So now that we've got a 5/5, we can block the Gnarlback Rhino without too much worry. If they have a pump spell, sure, so be it. They didn't attack last time, so if they attack now, then we know exactly what's going on. Once the Bombardment comes down, though, and starts attacking their lands, then it's pretty much a different story. You know, they'll be under pressure to actually close out this game. So we have to be aware of that. Yeah, I would really love a Lotus Field, because if we get a Lotus Field, I can go Blood Sun, Lotus Field, untapped, and play Haphazard Bombardment. And then from there, the world is our oyster. Voracious Hydra X5 to fight the Hydroid Crisis, I presume. That's going to need answering. Nope, doubling the counters. Alright, well, let's put a counter on that ourselves. Let's see if they get aggressive. There's not much reason to. Elvish Rejuvenator. Yeah, I need to put a counter on the Voracious Hydra so that we can potentially fight it. Or bombard it, should I say. So, yeah, I guess that's what we're doing. Just wondering if there's anything else I want to do in my turn. I don't think so. Haphazard Bombardment. We want to hit the creatures, I think, honestly. Could get the Barkhide Troll. I think I'd rather just hit lands, though, than a Barkhide Troll. Go tap lands and pass the turn. See what we hit. Voracious Hydra is the ideal target, but we get a land instead. Okay. So we have a double block on Voracious Hydra. We get to keep one of our creatures around, which is not too bad. Nissa. Alright, only a matter of time until you showed up.
Which cannot protect itself.
They went straight to combat. They totally forgot to tick up. Good stuff. That's very useful. Very useful indeed. So, do they get in, or are they going to wait because they forgot to tick up their land? Gives them 3 mana to work with this turn. If they use all 3 of it, though, then they can't... Excuse me. Gonna use the one with the Bombardment token on it. Sure. Well, that has a good chance of dying. I guess maybe they want to do an all-attack with it, and therefore they were planning on just losing it anyway. Ooh, we're getting a fight spell from our opponent? They're hovering my Multani like they've got something to do. And that would not be ideal. Yeah, I think they've maybe got a Rabid Bite or something. Yeah. Going after Hydroid Crisis. Doing this all post-combat. The level of puntage is off the charts from our opponent. Alright. Let's see. So, I'm thinking if we go for Blood Sun, that means Rejuvenator can hit a Lotus Field without sacking our lands. From there, we can untap with Kiora on the Lotus Field. So, we're going to pay 3 for Blood Sun, 3 for Rejuvenator, and that leaves us with 4 mana to do what? Release to the Wind. We got an extra blocker, but it's not a trample blocker. But at least we can stop, like, the forest or something like that. Alternatively, we can do... Well, let's do Blood Sun first, because I think that's definitely what we want to do. It goes without saying, because we want to see an extra card here, which might influence our decision. Really would love a Lotus Field. Never wanted anything more in my entire life. Good stuff. Better lucky than good. Alright. From there, we have an 8/8 now, which is pretty sweet. 3, 6, 7, 8 on the Hydroid Crisis, so we have 2 8-powered creatures. I think that's maybe what we want to do. All the blockers in the world is ideal, I think. Alternatively, we could do an X5 Hydroid Crisis and then Rejuvenate. You know what? I kind of like the idea of that. It's an extra blocker. We still have a decently sized creature, and we maybe pump up Multani by getting an extra land drop here as well. Mending of Dominaria. Draw a card. We get a Lava Coil. Lava Coil. What do we even Lava Coil? The problem is I'd love to get either one of these, but they've already got the Bombardment trigger. I suppose if I Lava Coil the Rhino, there's an increased chance of hitting the Voracious Hydra. It's basically 50-50. So we rely on a coin flip to get us out of this one. And yeah, we don't attack. Got to pass the turn. Come on, fingers crossed. Here we go. Spin the wheel. From there, though, we just release to the wind. Haphazard Bombardment, targeting Nissa and all the lands. Yes! He's done it! Alright, now to dodge another one. Because now we got a decent blocking state. So, release on Haphazard Bombardment leaves us with 3, 6, 9, 10 mana to work with. So we do like Mending plus Rejuvenator, something like that. Hopefully we roll over a few lands with our Mending and Dominaria. I'd love just like another Hydroid Crisis though. Eventually we do have to pressure our opponent, but we don't really have to do that until after they're basically crippled with no lands and out of this game. So they have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 mana. Now they don't have as much. It's a shame they have all the mana dorks, otherwise this Bombardment would just go on their mana base and we'd be happy about it. We do, of course, have to kill Nissa, but we have a 5/5 Hydroid Crisis now, so not too much of a trouble there. Definitely be careful not to block with it. Just in case they have an attack and then a Rabid Bite. Doing the math. Well, I will double block your forest, I think. Which would be 2... Well, actually, for damage right now, it wouldn't be too much. Yeah, well. Block. Block. And then we take 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe they see the writing on the wall. Maybe they're going for the Rabid Bite plan, though, as I suspected. So it'd be like Rabid Bite, Bark-Eyed Troll on Hydroid Crisis here. But nope, they do not have that. Alright. So now we release to the wind Haphazard Bombardment. Recast it, getting some retargets. And yeah, let's just... I think we're planning on killing Nissa here, so I don't think we target her. I think we just go after the mana. So 4 targets, 1, 2, 3. And if I target Bark-Eyed Troll, they can give it hexproof using their mana they've got left over, so I'll just take her tapped Llanowar Elves. No doubt they block with the untapped ones anyway, at some point. Could make a Voracious Hydra here. Do I even need to do that? I can already do 6 with Multani. So it would be 7 with a Voracious Hydra, or I could just play a Rejuvenator and get a land. Should we try that? Have we got any creatures in the yard? We've got a Hydroid Crisis, which we can get back with Mending a Dominaria. But let's aim for a land first. Yep, we got a Breeding Pool. Pump the Mults. Mending. See if we can pump the Mults some more. See if we can get some sick-ass pumpage. Can we pump? Ooh, we can. Alright, get back Hydroid Crisis. Arnie would be proud at our ability to pump. And yeah, I think it's safe to go in. We're going to kill Nissa. No matter how they block, it's going to happen. Do we keep back a Hydroid Crisis? Considering the game's going to be pretty much over anyway. I guess we could block Bark-Eyed Troll. Block Bark-Eyed Troll, they hit us for blocked 2, 4, 5, 6, probably. We can take that knowing we're going to Hydroid Crisis next turn anyway. So yeah, let's do it. Let's get in. I think the only thing we have to worry about is another Nissa, and if we hit the forest, that's going to be okay. I don't know if they know how Trample works, but Nissa's taking 9. Yeah, understandable. Who plays Multani anymore? Let's find out what we can hit. It's basically all mana here. And we got the Hexproof Paradise Druid. Nice, that's one less attacker. And we've still got 2 more triggers on the Bombardment. We got Mending ticking now. They found a land drop, so they could play a Nissa if they have one, but she's going to die again. And all we have to take is 5, 6, 7, 8. Into a giant Hydroid Crisis. Crawl Harpooner fights Hydroid Crisis, but they lose the creature doing it. But it's a decent enough trade, as top decks go. It's not ideal, of course. I don't think there is really anything that they can draw out of here. All I need to do is find my other release to the wind and keep adding more counters. Maybe just another Bombardment would also work for me. And we get to draw a lot of cards here. Eventually just ramping out with Mending. The game is over. It's just going to take our opponent a little while to notice. I do imagine. Oh, no, they notice right now. Okay. Alright, that was pretty sweet. Got a bit close. But, you know, that's the best kind of matchups, right? Sweet. Alright, well, this is a hand. Can we keep this? Good lord, I'm not even sure. If we get like a 3rd land, we've got all the mana in the world. We can just like draw all the cards. This basically needs a 3rd land and a good card off the top for the ramp to matter. You can't do this, right? This is the times when I really wish I could find out what's on top of my deck just to know if I would have actually been rewarded for my greed, but this one's way too greedy. Let's throw that one back. And, yep, alright, this is hand. These are basically the cards that I would have wanted to draw off my Blood Sun. We basically got the same mana, so gonna keep this one. I think I'll go with... Which one do I want to go with? Maybe the Voracious Hydra is more interaction, and I think you want more interaction than a big bomb early in the game, at the very least. And if this one doesn't have anything to fight, then we just double the counters and we're golden there. Yeah, I think this is what we do with it. See what we can do. Opponent also gone down to 6, and Leyline of Abundance. Alright, so Voracious Hydra looking pretty good. Much better than Multani, that's for certain. Breeding Pool for our opponent, and passes. Alright, well. We're gonna need a third land, otherwise we're probably gonna have to sack some lands, but Mending a Dominaria has me confident that we don't really care about that too much. Alright, well. Lightning Strike Leafkin, keep them off the double mana. We don't want them on 5 for Nissa, certainly. And I think we actually do go for the Lotus Field here, because we can go Kiora, Blood Sun, something like that next turn. So, yeah, scrap the lands. We know that Mending a Dominaria has some value now as well. Risen Reef, well that's not a mana dork. Interesting. Well, I'm still going to go for it. Let's go Kiora. Untapped. And Blood Sun. Hope for a land drop. A Kiora. It's a weird land drop. I guess it's kind of one, right? No? No? Okay, just me. Alright, well, Risen Reef, do your thing. We can Mending next turn. I'd love a land drop, though. Always in the mood for a land. Cavalier of Thorns. Okay. Well, some Leyline and some Mana Dorks for some Hydroid Krasis action. Interesting deck from our opponent. Ooh. Haphazard Bombardment. We could play that. Is that what I want to do? I can only X4 my Voracious Hydra, but I can make it big enough to block Cavalier. For whatever that's worth, they get back a card. It's probably going to be Hydroid Krasis if they go for one. Alternatively, I can get Mending going. It leaves me with 1 mana. Mending doesn't draw me a card or give me a blocker. I think it's Voracious Hydra here. Yeah. It's just the right size as well to make Kiora draw. So... 6 mana total. Yep, just double checking. Last thing I want is to make a mistake like that. Gonna double the counters. I don't think my opponent can really deal with an 8-9. And we even got a land drop as well, which is quite nice. From here, where do we go? So, for the record, Bombardment does not hit enchantment permanents. So we can't hit the Leyline of Abundance for whatever that might be worth. And our opponent just passes. We could play Multani as a 2-2. Seems valuable. Sarcasm. Alright, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get down Mending of Dominaria. It leaves me with enough mana here, hopefully, to actually Lightning Strike. I need to actually tap. Yeah. Let's just Lightning Strike now before it makes the mistake for me. Kill Risen Reef. No elemental value for you. And Mending of Dominaria, hoping to get lots of Lotus Fields off of this. Or, you know, I'll take like a Hydroid Krasis or any of my creature options. I'm honestly fine with anything. I'm easy. Bombardment and a land. Okay, well, we're hitting 3 lands off of Mending of Dominaria, which is cool. And they all come into play untapped as well. No claws there that we have to worry about. Do we start swinging? If we swing and they block, they get back Hydroid Krasis for an X5, which then I have to deal with. Yeah, I think I can just wait. Wait and then just like bombard their lands or something like that. Nightpack Ambusher. Okay. Yeah, till... actually, no, Multani is not a 2-2, because it actually includes the cards in your graveyard as well, so he's actually a 5-5. Opponent with a Nissa. So Nightpack Ambush are going to do literally nothing. Our opponent's deck seems ambitiously confused. They've got... Ooh, I just saw that Lotus Field. They've got Nightpack Ambusher, which is encouraging them to not play anything. Then they've got Leyline, which is encouraging them to play Mana Dorks, with not really too much in sight as far as input is concerned. It's just a weird situation we find ourselves in. Alright, so I'm left with two... not quite enough to play Multani. If I went for the Bombardment, but I think Bombardment is definitely the correct choice because I want to be able to hit the Nissa. Nissa, Ambusher, Cavalier, and then lands, I guess? Just basically a sweep across here. Might as well hit the creature land. It's worst case scenario, I still hit a creature. So we want Nissa, Nightpack Ambusher. I'm almost considering not going with the Cavalier because I don't want them to get whatever I end up bombarding, but at the same time, I'd rather hit it before Nissa gets hit. So this leaves me with 4 mana, which is not enough to do anything. So we just pass them up. We get a thick Multani next turn, though. I really want to hit Nissa. Nightpack Ambusher number 2. Okay. And we got the Nissa. Sweet. That's very good. So even if they kill Kiora here, we can still play another Kiora, Multani, draw a card. So we have that available to us. Do they have any naturalize effects in their deck to get rid of this Bombardment? Or even Blood Sun for that matter? It would be kind of unfortunate, I think, if they remove the Blood Sun. Just going for the tokens. Alright. Well, all lands come back into play untapped. It's a shame we don't have an X spell, because we have quite a lot of mana. I guess we could always go draw an X spell. Can I draw an X spell, please? Be so kind? It'd be mighty kind of you. I'd take even a Bombardment at this point. Ouch. That's about as bad as it could possibly be. Alright. From there, play the lands. We have nothing to pay on our mana. Do we just get in with our Voracious Hydra? Not really. They can just double block with literally any 2 creatures. Yeah, we might actually be losing to Nightpack Ambusher just being a good card. Let's see what we hit. I really need to hit Nightpack Ambusher here. Good stuff. Better lucky than good. The fortune continues. Yeah, I'm just kind of wishing that counter on the Cavalier was now on the Nightpack Ambusher, but it is what it is, I suppose. That's very good. Oh, boy. Alright, well. Let's get tapping, so we don't have to do the math. It's math for people who don't bother to do what I'm doing right now.
The ocean surges, life thrives.
17. So we can do an X15 Hydroid Krasis. That seems pretty good. Yeah, I'll take an X15. It makes what our opponent's doing look very, very bad in comparison, and we can just discard all the lands to hand size and pump Multani that way as well. Mass Manipulation. Looking pretty great. Even got a Lightning Strike. That's not really worth much to us though, unless we had another Lotus Field to put into play. So we'll just play the Stomping Grounds, and yeah, I think we'll just pass and kill them over the next 2 turns, mass manipulating their Nightpack Ambushers, and maybe even bombarding the rest of their stuff. Yeah, let's just pass them up. I'm in no rush. Still 2-turn clock. If I attacked in, they block with the Cavalier and get back whatever they want as well, which we don't really want. We hit the Cavalier. Ew. Okay. Not ideal. They get the pick of the litter now. I'm not sure it should matter, but yeah, Hydroid Krasis will never be as big as our Krasis, and we can even steal it. So let's just dump some lands, Stomping Grounds, Steam Vents, bumping up our Multani to an 11/11. Got 3 blockers to their 5 attackers, so they can get a max of 9 in, which is definitely not enough. And they'll even be tapping out here as well for the Hydroid Krasis. So not getting much use out of those cards in hand, and we just get rid of all the blockers. All of our attackers are trampling, so the wolf tokens do not matter. Release to the Wind. It's not going to do too much for us. Alright, well. Blue, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 things that we can take here. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's even more than that actually, right? I only need to do it, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12, 16. Okay. Oh, will you not let me? I don't know. I'm doing X10 thinking I need to go for 16, but no, I don't need to do that. I need to just do it X6. You, and you. Pay, please. Yoink. Get wrecked. Oh, that's beautiful. I'll just take your board if you don't mind. I'll just have it all. I'll just, you know what? Don't worry about it, opponent. I'll just take those problems away. All right, well, that's gonna do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm gonna be doing a new thing actually with the channel. So the best viewed, most liked video will actually get an extra video at the end of the week. So if you do enjoy this one and you want to see more of it, then liking, subscribing, hitting that comment section, and obviously just enjoying the video will get you a bonus video on Sunday if it is the most popular video. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm happy to play this one all over again. It was an absolute doozy. Without further ado, I'm going to end it off here. Take care, guys.